think everyone is already here. All right. So welcome everyone again back to the from the break. And this time we have a very special guest and speaker with us. And I would like to welcome you, Dr. Shalini Sharma, in the name of everyone at our IGCS Winter School. And this is a very interesting and relevant opportunity to hear your insights and experiences on this topic of circular economy for plastic waste management. And I would like to say some words about Dr. Shalini Sharma. Dr. Shalini Sharma is founder of the Global Institute for Circular Economy and SDGs, and she's also founder from the Sansodan and E-Waste Exchange Circular Economy Service Company in India, in Hyderabad. Dr. Shalini has been also leading India greenhouse gas projects from the Confederation of Indian Industries, and she has been leading also greenhouse gas accounting and carbon neutrality projects for various sectors and for various state governments, including sectors as the paper and pulp industry and also other consumer goods like packaging. Dr. Shalini has led the development of the first step-based circular economy platform for e-waste and plastic waste management, and including the development of a digital circular economy and models for the sectors. And Dr. Shalini Sharma has been also working in capacity building, development projects, and design and implementation of circular economy models. She has a doctorate in environmental science, and we are very glad to have you, Dr. Shalini Sharma, this opportunity. All the participants are waiting to hear a little bit from your experiences, and I would like to pass the floor to you.
Thank you, Ms. Garces. Thank you so much. So first, I would like to put the disclaimer that I'm traveling and I'm somewhere in rural area. So my internet can take a toll. So if there is any kind of issue, I would like to put my cameras off to manage the bandwidth. So that may happen. Pardon me for that. So today I'm taking this opportunity to present to you an awareness booklet, but on a different subject. This booklet is something that we wrote in current year. In the financial year 2022, 2021-22, we wrote around 4 manuals. 2 on the implementation of circular economy for 2 different sectors. One is the educational sector and other is small and medium scale industries. And this is an awareness book that we published to create an awareness about that who can do what into the circular economy domain. One more book that we have that we published this year is ESG, the Power Guide. So I would be happy to share this book even after this presentation with all of you. And this is a free resource if you would like to disseminate among the students or the lecturers. This is almost available to everybody. So I'm sure that the participants and everybody would have heard quite a lot about what is circular economy and how it is working, and what is the significance for the plastic waste management sector. Just to give a brief brush up that what I'm going to cover today. A bit about the circular economy principles, the different schools of thoughts on the circular economy, so that it will help the students and everybody to define that what kind of circular economy model they are willing to adopt, or it will also help them to define that what is the sector and which is the best circular economy model suitable for that sector. Then we will go a bit of differentiation between the zero waste and circular economy, how it is different, how these 2 subjects are different. And then we would like to look into some of the case studies and then benefits. and how the circular economy is associated or in conjunction with the climate change, sustainable development goals, and ESG. A brief about that, and then one of the case study. Very very important chapter that I will cover into this, that who can do what the city administrators can do, what the industries can do, what the governments can do. So this will help all these students to understand that if they are going to talk about some of the circular economy model, actually to whom they should be talking to. I'll just take a second to reduce the size of this. So coming to the definition, I'm sure everybody would have heard this quite a lot of time. Just to bring everybody on the same platform of understanding, as per UNIDO, the circular economy is an economic system that tackles the global challenges like climate change, biodiversity loss, waste, and pollution. So, if we talk about the industrial symbiosis, if we talk about how the industries look at the circular economy, it is something that is related to resource recovery and reuse. The main aim is to keep the materials into the loop, not to waste, not to send the materials to the landfills. So, we will be talking about this as a basis of this presentation today. And so when we talk about this, it talks about designing the waste, designing out the waste and pollution. So how we can do it, let us see into the schools of thoughts. So very first and important part, everybody when they start talking about the circular economy, they say okay, design out the waste or keep the material out of the loop. But there are lots of there are some few people who have been like pioneer in this area. So I'm just presenting their thought process, and from in last 2 decades where it started and where it is heading to. So there is a book from Michael Branchard and Bill McTurn which talks about the circular economy. I would suggest if you can read a book about Cradle to Cradle and Upcycle. These are some of the pioneer books from these scientists, and it talks about the industrial and commercial processes are to the nutrients. That means gate to gate approach. For example, if there is any kind of any kind of waste plastic, the aim is to keep that plastic into the loop. That means the waste can be changed into the new product, and we will see many examples, like we must have seen that the waste is collected and then changed into the board, and that board can be changed into the used for making the affordable houses, or some kind of waste plastic that can be used for making the furniture. So that's an example that is really fitting into the cradle to cradle approach. Second is the performance economy. This is from Walter Stahal and more. There is a concept about the sharing services or the sharing other than rather than the selling services. So if you see the big engines, the aerospace industry, that is mostly talking about the performance economy model. If you see the aerospace industry, there is like $1 billion machine that's really going up into the air and then coming down again, landing back. So it's $1 billion business that's just moving up into the air and then again landing into the on the earth. How can that be managed? Because the financial stakes and the risk are too high. So if you see, I will just give an example of Trent engine that's from Rolls-Royce. And if you see, they are selling the services. They are selling the services per hour or per ride that is done by the aeroplane. So that's one example related to the performance economy. There is another school of thought that we talk about, biomimicry, nature as a model. You must have seen some examples of this into the construction sector, where if you see termites or in jungles there are termite uh, places made of wood, that temperature outside and inside is very very different to each other. So that kind of examples can be used even into the real life, into the construction sector. So how to maintain the temperature outside and inside, especially in terms of the climate change, where the temperature is outside in the cities is very high. So can you do the construction in such a manner that temperature inside the building is at least 2 to 3 degrees centigrade lesser than outside? I think that will help saving lot of energy, or cooling or heating requirement of the building. So biomimicry is something best suitable for the construction sector. Then we talk about the industrial ecology. In India, this concept is yet to come about industrial symbiosis or circular industry clusters. But in European countries, some of the examples are already there, where the waste of one industry is the resource for the another, and this is all happening within the industry cluster. So I think some of the webinars which we did this year were also on the circular industry clusters. People started talking about the circular cities, but this concept is yet to come. So, but moreover, a thought process is that the waste of one industry can be the resource for another, and how the transportation cost can be reduced when we talk about waste becoming the resource for the another industry. I remember one of the example when I was working for greenhouse gas accounting of the pulp and paper industry, and there was a sugar industry very close to the paper industry, and after the cane juice is extracted, there is a bagasse, and that's very rich in fiber. That bagasse used to come to the paper industry, and then that bagasse and fiber out of that was used for the production of the new paper. So that was, I think, that's a good example which we can see for the circular economy there in the industries. Then there is another concept which is now taking up quite a lot when we are seeing the COP meeting that has happened last November and December. Now the complete focus is on blue economy, because not only because of the plastic, but there are lots and lots of waste that are flowing into the rivers, and then from rivers to the oceans, that is really depleting the life in the ocean. And it is very very sad, especially when we talk about the coastal communities. So and people who are completely depending on the ocean economy. So blue economy is something related to the marine environment, how to prevent the ocean pollution, especially because of plastic and microplastics, and then how to manage it better. And then lastly, we have heard quite a lot about circular economy from MacArthur Foundation, which talks about system solution framework that tackles the global challenge, like various global challenges like climate change, biodiversity, and all. So with this, I'm sure you would have seen this model everywhere. The smaller the loop is more the feasibility of implementation of that circular economy model. In this model, if you see, the larger the loop or larger the circle, it's going a little bit farther than the circular economy models or the thought process as such. So, coming to the next, which we are going to talk about the differentiation between the zero waste and circular economy. Many people, they think that the zero waste is circular economy, or there's a little bit of confusion that how to think about these two things separately. So I'm just going to put some points further for you to as a food for thought. So, zero waste is a set of principles that guide us towards the goal for setting the circular economy as a pathway ahead. So, when we say about that zero waste, suppose you are coming from an educational institution, whether you want to set up your goal as a zero waste organization, or you want to set up your goal as a circular organization, that depends on you. But thinking in a phase wise manner, I will say the zero waste is a first phase when you want to move ahead towards the implementation of circular economy. So zero waste will help you for conservation of resources, whereas the circular economy will help you to recover the resources and use it back into the loop, or use it as a raw material. There is also a thought process. There are a lot of certifications that are coming up talking about the zero waste certification. So it aims to keep the waste out of the landfill. But if you talk about the circular economy certification, it talks more about the restorative and regenerative by design. So for the plastic waste, if you a very simple example for your organization if I give here, if you want to be certified as a zero plastic waste organization, what you will do is that you will move out all the plastic waste out of your premises, and you will ensure that it will not go into the landfill. But if you are moving towards the circular economy certification for your organization, then you will move a step ahead, and you will have to ensure that the plastic going out of your premises is not going to landfill, but it also coming back into the economy. Whether it is coming back into the economy as a furniture in your organization, or your plastic is used for any other purpose, that is maybe the affordable homes or something, but you will have to really ensure that end to end chain of your plastic waste. So that's a basic difference when we talk about eliminating the waste or reducing. Everything goes into the strategy for zero waste. But when as soon as you talk about the regenerative economy, you talk about the circular economy. So there a last sentence, company following the zero waste is a limit to making the process more efficient and diverting from the landfill. But the company or organization, if they are willing to say that they are circular, then they will have to take the waste, put it back into the economy, and redirect it into the loop. So this is the basic difference when we talk about the zero waste and circular economy as such. So I So, what are the key strategies for going circular economy? Can we use this knowledge as developing the circular economy models? Very much yes. So, what I'm going to say now is something that will help you to develop the circular economy models if you want to implement it for the plastic sector, or if you want to implement for the food and beverages, or any sector where the plastic is coming from. So, a few models here are not directly applicable for the plastic. For example, the changing the idea of ownership. It is mostly for the machines, the larger industries, or electronic segment. This is more applicable because it's like something like subscription model leasing or pay-per-use variants. But if somebody want to go ahead and saying that okay, I'm interested into setting up the plastic recycling unit, I think this is very much suitable for you also, because when we you are taking the waste plastic and changing it into as good as new plastic, and then using it as a raw material for making new furniture, or anything that you can sell it, rather than selling it, if you are putting it as a subscription model or a lease model, pay per use, I think that will be an additional stream of earning for your business as such, other than the plastic waste collection and recycling. So it depends that how you can make the amalgam of these different models and put it to the use to bring more financial benefits to your business. Second model is about the reverse logistic. Again, the first example which I gave, that if you are moving ahead from making the better plastics and then using it for the new product, and then if you want to set up a reverse logistic process, this will become as an additional stream for earning. But reverse logistic is mostly, if you see nowadays, the plastic waste management policy in India, which is now the third amendment that has come just on the 16th of February 2022, where even the single use plastic is being banned by the government of India now. You will see there are lot many companies who will be following the model of reverse logistic now. So it is basically now becoming as a compliance mandate for the businesses who are using the plastic, or even the manufacturers of the plastics. Now, the product designs. Many of you coming from the technical background, mechanical or design background, would be more interested into this model. When you talk about the product designing, can you use the plastic that is recyclable n number of times? So, if that can be done, then that will help into the designing the circular products, rather than one or two or 10 uses of the same plastic. Now, lastly, the secondary resource recovery to close the loop. Here, there are all these examples related to it, but we have developed one of the model that is called as metal print, that help the companies to really monitor that how much is their metal and material resource consumption, and how they can really look into to be more efficient, to make their companies more efficient as such. So these are different kind of models that can different kind of thought processes that can help you to design the circular economy model for the plastic sector or any sector which you are interested in. Now, some of the case studies, I think you must have already heard about the use of these waste plastic into making the new shoes, which Adidas has which Adidas has sold millions of shoes last year, and generally it is a little bit more costlier than the normal stream of the products, because the recycling cost is also considered over their collection and recycling cost. Probably you must have known about the Starbucks that is revolutionizing the paper coffee cup, and like that, many F&B industries are now being focusing on eliminating the plastic waste from their kitchens and the usage. Then yes, there are various people who are like to just willing to eliminate the plastic and going towards the bamboo based products, or the plastic bamboo based products, wood based products, and other mycelium or the fungi based packing and all. Fashion industry is also getting revolutionized, because they are trying to cut down the use of the plastic, or either they are trying to enhance the use of the textiles or the clothings as such, to prevent the pollution that's happening because of the plastic used in the fashion industry. Just going to the benefits very quickly on the environmental and other benefits. As we know, of course, if the plastic usage is reduced, then the pressure on the land will be reduced. Primary material consumption, if it can be reduced by enhancing the life of the product, that would be great. And nowadays, which we see, various cities in India, they are having competition to be the cleaner city. But if you see the rural areas or nearby township areas, the cities that are winning the prizes for being the cleaner city in India, but actually they are throwing out their waste into the nearby rural areas. I think that's really an alarming kind of a situation, that probably not only India, probably in many other countries also, that if you are making your city clean and throwing out your plastic waste outside into the rural area, it's really impacting the land productivity and soil health, because the rural areas are mostly depending on the agriculture as their main livelihood source. So protecting the land productivity is very, very important. I think end to end plastic waste management is something that need to be looked into by all the cities and city administrations. Economic benefit, of course, the financial benefit is quite a lot, and even the international agencies, they are just assessing that more than 4.5 trillion of economic benefits can be gained by 2030. And then there is a lot of assumption about the jobs, even region wise. People are trying to assess that how much job creation can be. But I will give you one example where we see a lot of jobs being created into the plastic waste management sector, especially by while uplifting the lives of the frontline waste workers. So that is like one way where you can change the informal sector to formal, and also provide them with the kind of identity and dignity for while improving their life, for from the waste speaker rather than to becoming like clean city warrior or waste warriors. So that examples are quite established now, and material cost saving for sure. I think there are lots and lots of examples which are talking about, in the cities, rather city administrations, they have been talking about close the tap from where the plastic is coming. I think I would like to put this example very much in front of everybody. Closing the tap, like where the plastic is coming from, we all know that what is the source of the plastic. Can we do something about that? Can we innovate over there, that the plastic right from the point of production can be deviated to the purposeful or meaningful use, rather than bringing it to the market and then collecting and taking back into the loop. Now, industrial benefits, for sure, I would recommend to have a look on the plastic waste management policies and the amendment, which is talking quite a lot about the extended producer responsibility compliance for the aggregation and then channelization for the recycling. And the opportunities are increasing every year as far as the regulations are getting tightened on the industries. I think there is an opportunity for new entrepreneurs to come on this sector, for helping them with the EPR compliance and the aggregation, transportation, then upcycling, then changing the waste plastic into the new products. Taking you to the connects, how the circular economy for the plastic waste management is related to the climate change, ESG, and SDGs. Let us put our thoughts or the concentration on what happens to when you assess the life cycle of the plastic product. So if plastic product or any product as such, so there is a greenhouse gas emission that is happening at the production stage, then it is used, and then if it is into the hands of the informal sector, it is being burnt. Again, the emission is happening in the open environment along with the carcinogens that get mixed into the atmosphere. So if you see this whole life cycle, you would like to say that okay, better to cut down the emissions at the production stage by increasing the lifespan of the product. Then on the other side, you would also like to cut down the emissions that otherwise happen due to the open burning of the plastic waste and other kind of waste that also releases various toxicants into the atmosphere. With the wide assessments by the international organizations like UNIDO, it is now known that if you are preventing the disposal of any product, then you are cutting down the emissions by 40 to 70% somewhere, depending on the type of the product or type of the material that is being used. So that means circular economy can bring quite a big impact. For example, if we say if you are facing an issue with the gadget or your laptop, and say your laptop is very slow, and if you want to enhance the speed of that laptop, is there any way that you can enhance the speed of the laptop without disposing it or without giving it to recycling, and without purchasing a new one? If you can change your RAM, or if you can change any other equipment you would like to, not sending your laptop for the recycling, that will of course again a source of emission. By the way, recycling is not considered as a circular economy model directly, but of course it is a last sort, better than disposing into the landfills. So those kind of examples, but as a thought process or as a various, there are various calculation tools also now. But if you just want to assess that what is the greenhouse gas emission impact of your product, you can take a broader line with the life cycles and assess the greenhouse gas impact of the product. with no circular economy model, zero waste model, and the circular economy model. I think that makes a big good research project also, and it will help you to do the calculations and set up the environmental impact assessment parameters for the plastic products as such. Secondly, when we go about circular economy and how it is connected with SDGs, you will see various SDGs are connected with the circular economy, and we have seen, for example, if we talk about the circular economy practice for related to the plastic pollution happening into the river and water bodies into the cities, and otherwise, can that be aligned with the SDG 6 by setting up the small scale water purification structure in the cities, or enable the wastewater treatment, preventing the microplastics flowing into that, or nutrient recovery from the human feces, or maybe the biogas system if there is any kind of animal husbandry project going on. So this is something related to the circular economy models that can be built in alignment with the SDG 6. Then SDG 7, of course, we all know quite a lot about it, but the life cycle assessment of this stream is still to be done. We talk quite a lot about the renewable energy systems like small scale biomass technologies and solar, but for solar specifically, I will say that there's a lot to be done when it comes to the end of the life of the solar panels. So now this area is picking up quite a lot. Suppose if that happens, or otherwise the small scale biomass technologies are completely aligning with the SDG 7. Then if we talk about the decent work and economic growth, SDG 8, it talks about the circular economy models and the green jobs. For example, if you just see 5 years back, 5 years or 7 years back, there was nothing like sharing model. Everybody used to believe in purchasing and then using it. But in last 5 years, if you see, there are a lot of purchasing models, there are a lot of rental models, there are a lot of lease models, there are a lot of models as sharing models. So that means it is also creating the new jobs into this sector. So of course it will help creating new jobs for the people, and uplifting the lives of the people. And if you see the bigger picture, when we talk about the waste going out of our homes or out of our offices to the landfill, that scenario is completely changing. So when that scenario is changing, there are people needed to work to change that scenario. Whether when we start thinking about the whole life cycle, when we start thinking about the uh, product phase in use, when we start thinking about the remanufacturing, when we start thinking about the making the better products, when we start thinking about enhancing the span of the existing products, in each of these models you will see there is circular economy. So there are people required to do those kind of jobs, build their expertise to do that kind of jobs, and it will lead to SDG 8 for sure. So now coming to SDG 11, it talks about the water and sanitation and focusing the cities more, making more inclusive. Conditions in the informal settlements, those benefits of SDG are directly or indirectly related to SDG 12. So if you see this particular SDG, particularly SDG 11, when we talk about, we have seen some of the examples that people are trying to use the waste plastic to make the board, waste plastic and tetra packs, a mixture of that, trying to make the boards, and that boards are useful for making the waterproof or rainproof affordable homes. Or even we don't know the new development that's happening related to the additive manufacturing, if there is any kind of a use of the waste plastic into that stream also, that 3D models can be used for making the model homes, and where the waste plastic become a kind of a feed into that machine. So we don't know that, we have not seen any kind of example into that, but I'm just putting the thought process over here that if that can happen. So that will help into aligning your affordable home projects with for improving the lives of people who cannot afford the homes into the or making the informal settlements, making the lives better into the cities for the poor people. Then there is something related to SDG 12, which we talk more about sustainable production and consumption. I was giving an example of the fashion sector, which you see that is something more related to it. But there are mostly the things that in our organizations or offices also sustainable production and consumption. I'll give you an example of green procurement policy. If any organization is having the policy pertaining to making it a policy for their organization, saying okay, from today onwards, whatever the purchases we do, moreover 50 to 60% of the purchases will be from as a natural product. We will eliminate the plastic in this particular sector, for example, eliminating the plastic into the canteen or into the classrooms, shifting your uh, pattern of the plastic usage to the natural side. So I think that will help you to align your activities with the SDG 12. And lastly, SDG 5 is also aligned very much with the circular economy when we talk about the circular models for the maintaining their nutrients into the soil, maintaining the productivity of the land, and restoring the land. And uh, uh, how to relate the circular economy with the ESG. So if you know nowadays what's really happening into the circular economy domain, there is a lot of talk happening about the environment, social, and governance impact assessment. Keeping the regulatory things aside, it is also of course the regulatory mandate for the companies who are registered with stock exchanges in India. Financial year 2022 onwards, it is mandatory for them to report on ESG parameters. But coming to the circular economy side, the circular economy for plastic sector, even people who are willing to set up the startups into the circular economy for the plastic sector, they need to do the ESG impact assessment, because it helped them to attract the investment. It helped them to look good outside or enhance their positive image outside. So when we align the circular economy with ESG, it's more over related to that. You can assess that how your circular economy model or your circular startup is going to prevent the greenhouse gas emissions, or how it is enhancing the quality of the life in the area where you are implementing this project or setting up your startup. Or it can also be something like, if you are changing the waste plastic into the new products, are you taking care of the life cycle of the product? So it depends that how deep you go into the different parameters under the environment, social, and governance impact. So that will help you to increase your score of your circular economy startup or your organization, to communicate with the investor that whether to invest in this startup or not. So that is more kind of technical, I will say. It is not that direct, but of course I think ESG and its alignment with the circular economy innovation, that is one of the key priority today, when we see with the point of view of the investment or the financial grants and other things. Lastly, I will take you to the most important thing. Everybody says that okay, circular economy is most talked about subject, but what can I do about it? So what we did is that we listed few things about the individuals. If you as an individual, what you can do. Then if you are living in say vertical lifestyle, say apartments, or you are living in communities, then what you can do as a society. So I will take you through the few points which we did even even with as an individual or even with the society where we live in. uh, of course, for individuals, we say the behavioral change is quite important when we talk about uh, consumption. Can you consume less, or can you consume the resources only that much is required for you? So that is kind of a behavioral change, bit difficult, but of course it is doable. Say no to plastic and the harmful packaging. Whatever is in your control, probably you can take charge of that, and then educate your kids, or the friends and families around you. Then few days back we ran a campaign in Hindi. Actually, this is, and I will translate for you in English. We gave a slogan, मेरी धरती की सफाई मेरी जिम्मेदारी मेरे अपनों की ज़िंदगी के लिए. So it means that the cleaning of my place and my surroundings is actually my responsibility for my life and for the life of my families and my own members. So this is a kind of a campaign we ran, quite for the citizens to create the awareness. And we have to understand the fact that the existence of human being is temporary. Actually, we live here on the earth just for like 70, 80 years, 90 years, but we have to pass on this earth to the next generations. So 70, 80 years of our life should not be so heavy that it caused the uh, cost the 40 years of next generation's life. I think this is a big thought process, or the seed that we everybody should bear that in mind. So that was about the individuals. As a society, I can see that there is an international community here on this platform, but I'm sorry, I'm talking more in terms of what's happening here in India and surroundings. So I apologize for that, but I'm just putting the practical scenarios or the practical things that we have experienced, and how that can be improved, probably beneficial for the students from IIT Madras, and the Indian students who are there on this platform today. So when we talk about the society, still I think there are more than 90% of the societies in every city, they are not following the basic thing, that is the segregation of waste at the community level. If this can be done, I think this will be a great opportunity, a positive thing for more entrepreneurs to come into the plastic waste management sector. The biggest drawback, if we saw today, the people are not interested into recycling of plastic, is because the raw material supply is not there. Consistent raw material supply is not there, and if there is a plastic waste coming out of the stream, then it is so dirty, then the educated person would not like to put their hands on this business. So that is one of the big reason that the entrepreneurs are not really flourishing in this space. So segregation of waste, I think, if at the community level the community heads, or for example in the apartments there are societies who can, the one society can lead around 1,000 homes or 2,000 homes. I think that will bring a big change. We did this experiment in a society of around 10,000 people, who are who are into the 5 different places, and then that project was so successful that it helped the plastic waste management recycling company to earn like 50% more within 1 year. Otherwise they were just putting their energies into the segregation of waste, putting their energies and time and resources, which was not really profitable for the plastic waste recycler as such. So when we associated or joined hand with them, they said that they have increased their profits by 50 to 60% within 1 year. So I think this one statement can bring really a huge change into the business model when you develop the business model for changing the plastic waste to the new product, or making the better plastics as such. And it also helped bringing new entrepreneurs into this area. So coming next, what the industry clusters and conglomerates can do. So we all know that there is a supply chain for the OEMs, and that supply chain consists of small and medium scale industries who are taking the virgin resources and making the components and supplying to OEMs. So what happens in term is that every time the virgin resource is taken from the earth or from the source and then made into a new product and sold to OEM, when then OEM sell it to the individuals or the public, and then from there it goes to the landfill. That means the resource that these small and medium scale industries have taken up from the earth or from nature is ultimately going to the landfill. So if this chain can be closed, then it can help quite a lot, not only for OEMs to reduce the cost over the period, but also for small and medium scale industries to go green, and for OEMs and the citizens and city administrations to close the loop. So this is a bit technical and a bit difficult also if we come for the implementation of this, but this is doable for sure if the large industries are willing to look into their supply chains for the implementation of circular economy. And then there are a lot of digital models which also which also ease out this process, which I just stated to you, that how to develop the circular supply chains. During my introduction, Ms. Garces was talking about the tech-based circular economy model that we developed in 2018, and that model is awarded as highly commended the circulars 2019 by World Economic Forum Davos. Actually, that model is the same. It helped the companies to measure the metal print, check out their resource consumption, identify the hotspots, then help the company to reduce their consumption, and also onboard their small and medium scale industries to see where are the possibilities to go down on the resource consumption or go down into the emissions. Bit more technical, but more the digital models which we have developed, and I'm sure many other organizations would have, can ease out this whole process for closing the loop, which includes the small and medium scale industries. And we gave lot many more models also, the how the industry associations can play the role for greening the industries into the semi cluster, and how the whole chain can be impacted. One example which we gave here is, other than the industrial symbiosis, is to identify the green industries and recognize and reward them in every SME industry cluster. And I think the industry associations or the management of the industry cluster can play a vital role in identifying and recognizing those industries to create the competitiveness and a kind of an atmosphere where every industry within the industry cluster would like to go green. We have also taken some initiatives. We designed the Circular Electronic Alliance for the dedicated a subgroup for the electronic sector under the International Alliance on Circular Economy and SDGs. I can share this in the chat box, the page, you can have a look on that. We have around 100 plus industries and organizations who are the members of this International Alliance on Circular Economy and SDGs. And we have many large industries as well as smaller industries. The alliance was launched on 11th of February by the Member of Parliament, Government of India, and he's a patron, a person who is looking for sustainable development of the state of Odisha. Other than that, we have other 4 patrons, one from the state government of Uttar Pradesh, one from the state government of Telangana. So like that, we are also associated with around 4 state governments in India, where the top management, top bureaucrats and the political leaders are interested into the sustainable development of the state and willing to take actions on the circular economy. So lastly, what government can do? Of course, some of the actions the government is taking, for example, the plastic waste management policy and amendment that has come this year onwards. The single-use plastic is also being banned pan India. So that means the plastic manufacturers and the users need to take strict actions for the reverse logistics for the plastic sector. But coming to more, what government can do is more over like reduce the recurring investment on the waste management by putting up the digital systems or the circular cities model that can be led by the city administrations and urban local bodies. Then monitor the performance of the extended producer responsibility compliance, and of course there is nothing better than the digital platforms to monitor the performance of the circular economy models or the extended producer responsibility compliance by the companies, especially for the plastic sector and electronic sector we are talking about. But this model is also very useful for the automobile sector. So automobile sector is also using quite a lot of plastic, various kind of plastics. So that is also one of the area that is now in India. Vehicle scrappage policy is there, that was released in 2021, and it is mandating that after use of the vehicle for 15 years the user will have to dispose it. So that means the lots of vehicles will also be lined up for recycling, and the high grade plastic is available there for use other than the electronics and precious metals and tires, rubbers and other things. So of course the other thing what government can do is talking about the subsidies on the secondary resource and green products for enabling the ecosystem for the green procurement policy, effective implementation of this policy. Yeah, this point is a little bit difficult where we say the provide the state land to establish the recycling unit or implement the recycling units into GOCO model. Quite a big thing, very effective model if it can be implemented, but it's quite tough also to get on these spaces. And lastly, as we are talking to the educational institutions, we have also developed the manual for the implementation of circular economy in educational institutions. What as an educational institution you can do. So we say that create a systemic change in the organization and institutions. Many places it happens that people want to go for the circular economy certification and then they implement some practices, but if the person is transferred or any one or two members from the group if they are moved, then the whole system collapse. So can we develop the model which is helpful for or it is a change resistant, which we have done when we developed the manual on circular economy for implementation in educational institutions. Another one is for SMEs. We have developed the checklist and we created the knowledge base, so that if there is any kind of change, if there is a change into the management team or if there is a change into the implementation team, or if the students are involved and if there is a change in the students, tomorrow the next batch is coming up and they want to take up the baton from the previous batch for the implementation of circular economy, it's easy for them. There is a checklist based model, what you're going to implement, whether it is implemented or not, what more you have to do, where you are heading to. So that's a kind of model we have developed as a manual, and we would be sharing with Dr. Vinu, I think, if you would like to have a look on. It's almost reviewed at the national and international level, and final copy will be out in the market very soon. That's all I think I would like to say at present. Yes, we have shared some good practices also. For example, develop the environment protection as an attitude among the next generation, mainstreaming the circular economy. And for the educational institutions, one very important part, two very important things which we suggested during our training programs, which we conducted training of trainers for the implementation of circular economy, where we were having around 100 participants all over the world joined us for 3 days training program. So when we were doing this program for the educational institutions, two very important strategies which we suggested. One is that as a management team of the educational institution like IIT or university, what you can do is, the first thing is that you establish the vision. You establish the vision that you want to be the circular organization within 1 year, and then you break down that vision, that how you will move ahead in next 1 year, what you should do in next 3 months, or then 2 months, and then another 3 months, and where you will be landing after 1 year. So that plan need to be there. So vision and mission, and after that the stepwise plan for the organization is very important. Secondly, second thing which we also put up in front, that you create the recognition mechanism for the student teams, like you can say the circular economy leader for the classroom or circular economy leader of the batch. So the person who will, maybe the person can be the circular economy leader for 1 month, and you can pass on this baton to the other different students every month, so that they are the one who will be leading the circular economy initiative. And ultimately at the end of the year, you will see that if you are giving a baton to one person for 1 month or 2 person in a month, 12 to 24 people will get trained into the circular economy in such a nice manner that they will be the entrepreneurs, so they will be able to think out of the box to set up the circular economy model as the business, or maybe if not the business, at least into their lives they will be able to imbibe those practices for to be a better citizen for the country as such. So these are the inputs from my end. This is one of those this is the case study which this is about the innovation which we did in 2018-19. But other than this, I would like to share one last case study with you, especially because this is for the plastic sector, and many of the entrepreneurs and even the people, this is done by PoliCE actually. So they want to see that what is the difference between the virgin plastic and recycled plastic, because when people want to enter into the plastic waste management business, they want to calculate the pricing or the cost benefit analysis. And at that point of time, the cost benefit analysis, what is that you are producing, is very very important, because when you know the cost of what you are producing, you know that what is the benefit or the financial gains you are going to get in next 3 months or 6 months or 1 year. So here is a table which tells you that if you are using the virgin plastic, what will be the scenario, and if you are using the recycled plastic, what will be the scenario. And depending on that, you can calculate the cost of the recycling, then recycled product, how much with how much investment you are getting the recycled plastic, and what will be the use of that recycled plastic further into the loop. Either it is for the new product development or what exactly it is. Just
maybe a reminder to have some minutes now to the Q&A. It's very interesting, your presentation. Maybe you would like to finalize and wrap up, please. Thank you.
Yes, so yes, this was the last slide, and just I wanted to say that we need to keep in mind the quality of the recycled plastic and the end use of the recycled plastic. I think that's very important for the development of the business model. And kindly have a look on this. There is a reference also giving the practical guidelines of designers for policy March 2021. So with this, I thank you all for this opportunity, and I'm here, yes, open for the questions. I'll stop sharing the screen now.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shalini Sharma. I know that for such an interesting and relevant topics like circular economy and the conceptualization and strategies, 1 hour is very limited. However, you have nicely provided an overview on the concepts and business models that could be developed in the different sectors. We will give 5 minutes for some Q&A, some questions before going into the break. Manika, you're muted.
Now it's audible?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you for the nice presentation, ma'am. My question is, the companies are responsible for they are producing the product and we are buying the product. If we buy a product, water bottle, we are paying the money for the water bottle also, the plastic bottle. But why the company didn't get back that water bottle? There, why they don't to involve get back that one?
Yeah, I think what you're saying is correct, but in India, that what's the scenario for the implementation of policy. So there are so good policies, but implementation is lacking, and that's the reason that companies probably don't look at it. But some of the companies are also trying to look at it, and the reverse logistic that is mandated for the businesses now, I think that will make them to look at it for sure. So, but with from the company point of view, probably I'm not the correct person to say their stand. But I can only say that yeah, policy implementation lacuna is there, so that need to be looked into.
The government, common community promotes the recyclers and the reuse products like that. Why we are not supposed to insist the company to promote this kind of activity? I don't know. It's
Yeah, but actually, if we insist anybody, it's not for them to take it, right? So they will take it whether if they are willing to, their policies and principles either are aligned to that, or if the government is mandating them, then they are forced to. But actually, I don't think any third power can be so forceful here in India till now. We have not seen. But of course, in European countries, we have seen quite a lot. The public voices are heard clearly. So even in US, the oil and gas companies, they were forced to step back, roll down the actions when the public opposed them, but many times it's not happening because industries are more powerful than public, and then if public is going on the roads, it's more over like and treated as an agitation rather than the voice. So I think yeah, that scenario need to be looked into.
Thank you. Thank you.
Next question, Angela.
Hello, thank you for your presentation. I have two questions. One is you mentioned an experience of a segregation of a community that was segregating waste, and that led to a 50% reduction of waste. I understood. Where was this experience?
No, I said that we did the practical implementation of waste segregation at source. So what happened is that there is a residential society. It was having one building was having 200 flats, 200 apartments, and like that there were around 13 buildings. So that means if you count the number of households, it was 13 multiplied by 200. So we implemented this project over there, waste segregation at source. Every household was made aware that how they have to segregate the source, and then we connected with the recycler. So when the recycler was taking the segregated plastic, that means there were 3 bins. There was solid waste, the organic waste was in separate bin. It was a green bin. Then there was a red bin for the hazardous waste from household. It is hardly like not even 1 kg per day. It is like that. Organic waste is generally 1 to 2 kgs per day, each household. And then third bin was a recycling bin. So that bin was having only the plastic wrappers and the tetra packs and these kind of things. So that if you say the third bin that is having a segregated plastic and tetra packs, that was moreover like a clean waste, that nobody is using anything, nobody is doing anything there, just putting the plastic wrappers coming out of chips and tetra packs coming out of like juices or milk box or something like shampoo bottles and these kind of things put in the third bag. So what has happened is that organic waste has gone to the gone for composting, which we created a kind of a composting pit within that premises, and then we associated with the microbes that can be used for composting that organic waste. After that, this segregated plastic waste was something that was channelized to the particular recycler, and then hazardous waste was only the thing that was like blades and pads and all these things. That was only something that was going to the landfills. So that what has happened, that the burden on the landfill is reduced by more than like 70%, because rest was gone for composting and recycling. Now when this recycler came back to us, he said that, okay, I'm so happy that 13 multiplied by 200 is like 2600 households. They are giving the only the plastic wrappers and shampoo bottles and tetra packs etc to him. So it reduces the cost of recycling for him. That means otherwise what he would have done is he would have put his manpower for cleaning, sorting the waste first of all from the organic waste. So manpower cost was reduced. Then because they don't need to do that, then he was putting lot of cost and using lot of water for cleaning the waste. That was really almost plastic and organic was completely mixed waste. So a lot of water consumption was there when he was cleaning that kind of dirty waste as such. And then he was able to like segregate single use plastic and tetra packs and then other things. So again one more level of process to really segregate all these various kind of plastic, and then he was proceeding ahead for processing it for like crushing or whatever process he has to go. So that means if the segregated waste is provided to the recyclers, at least 3 levels of processes, the cost investment over there, the manpower investment over there is really reduced for them. So they remain very happy. So that what I was adding to it is that the educated people who don't want to enter into this sector, recycling sector, especially because of the dirt, and if that dirt is taken care by segregating the waste at the sources, I think it will attract more entrepreneurs to come into this sector and start talking about creating the better plastics, the creating the plastic as good as the virgin plastic. So I think the technologies are there that can talk about creating the better plastic out of waste plastic. But the first 2 3 phases or 4 phase of process is so tedious and so investment intensive that people really don't want to put their time and feel into this. Yeah. And I think that's one of the biggest cause of plastic waste management is still being such a bigger problem, and people are unable to really deal with it.
What's the name of the project, sorry?
So this we did in our own community. It was not a funded project as such, but it's the place where I live in the city of Hyderabad. So it's having yeah. Each building is having around 200 households. If you would like to come to Hyderabad sometime, I think we would like to take you to any of the household at any point of time, and you see how aware the people are. But we replicated this model in other societies. We replicated this model in a society called Orange County. It's around 800 flats. Like this, we took it to different residential societies where there is kind of bulk households we can tap on at one go.
Mm-hmm. And may I ask another question?
Yes.
Thank you. In industrialized countries such as Germany, there is no one significant informal sector of street pickers, for example. But there are in some cities important rates of long-term unemployed people. And since the circular economy might generate new opportunities for jobs, how feasible do you think is to include this population of unemployed in a circular economy model? Is it feasible? Do you see it feasible or needed? Or have you seen experiences of that focus on the long-term unemployed people in industrialized countries?
Yes, for Germany, my exposure is limited to a DART fellowship, which I was there at Humboldt University, Berlin. So probably we have not worked right firsthand in Germany on this area. But for India, I think yes, we are the formal partner of the state government of Telangana, where we had the discussions on integration of informal sector. So what we are doing there is that we are integrating the informal sector and mainstreaming them by creating the corporate like structure where we are onboarding these informal players who are already working in this sector from like informally till now. So what we are doing is like we are providing them with the recognition, then ID cards. Then we say that okay, if you get integrated on this platform, you will be recognized as a formal workforce. And then we also educate them about how their lives can change if they integrate on this platform. So this help them to be identified by the government also as the formal workforce. But what I'm saying is mostly about the people who have been already working in this area. I'm talking about the informal workforce for the electronic sector in India. So if I give the numbers to this, there is more than 89% of the workforce is the informal sector into the electronic and electrical sector. And after 3 years of policy implementation in last 3 years, hardly there is a change of around 3 to 4%. So earlier it was more than 92% was the informal labor, but now it is like 89 to 90% we can say. So there's some improvement as such. But what I suggest is that we need to build the models looking on the capabilities of the people and whom you really want to engage and for what exactly. So that those all kind of assessments are really required before making the model for transformation of informal to formal.
Thank you very much, Dr. Shalini Sharma, for this insightful presentation. I'm sure that all the participants would like to get your publication, and they might also contact you later on. So in the name of all participants, I would like to thank you again. And so I will pass to Binu. Maybe he has some words, I think.
Thank you, Gabriela, for moderating, and special thanks to you, Dr. Shalini Sharma, for spending your valuable time. I know you're busy traveling, so I really thank you on behalf of Indo German Center for Sustainability for enlightening all of us and the participants on this important topic of circular economy models. This is quite unique as speakers in this school are concerned. I think this is something that is very important that the participants understand and target towards implementation. So thank you once again. Look forward to meeting you in a different platform.
Thank you so much, Dr. Veenu, and thank you everybody for this opportunity and listening to us so patiently. So looking forward to interact with everybody. Thank you so much.
So I think after this wonderful presentation with